Welcome to another episode of Buddycast. Folks, I'm here with a new buddy who has quickly become a great buddy of mine. We were just chatting for a little bit. His name is Kenton, Knepper. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Nick. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for being a buddy here on the show.
You betcha.
I've heard a lot about you, a lot of great magicians praising you. One of them even called you the godfather of mentalism. So,
yes, that's kind of made the rounds now, yes.
So let me start by asking, how did you get into magic, specifically mentalism?
Well, those are two different stories. I started in magic when I was very little. My first paid show, I was 8 years old, so I guess somewhere around 6. Part of the times I grew up in, we used to get magic catalogs. And you had dealers. You didn't get online or anything. So in those catalogs, there'd be all this magic, and then there'd always be a section that had mentalism. And so mentalism was always just part of magic, and that was, everybody knew that, and that was normal. So I looked at some of that stuff, and they had, people that had they'd go like this, and people would follow their, suggestions, and it'd be like instant trances or something, or all sorts of, read their minds. And I thought, that's more like real stuff. I like that. I want to do that. And so I didn't yet I had a teacher. I had a couple magic teachers, but I didn't yet have a mentalism magic teacher. So I started reading like the Jinx and some other books and mentalism things, and got into that and went, wow, this is really interesting. And then I found another teacher. I had many teachers when I was young. He did comedy, funny, bizarre, silly magic, but he also did hypnosis, and he did mentalism. So he said, look, I'll take you on, but if you're going to be a student, you have to know theater and you have to know psychology. And so that got me really into mentalism, because I loved understanding how people think and what influenced people and how they reacted and responded and all of that. So all of that just fit perfectly. And it was growing up in the time that was the late 60s, early 70s, where there was a lot of talk on the streets, a lot of books coming out about, is the ESP real? Can you really influence people with your mind? Can you do? And I thought, man, this is the stuff I really care about. So that's really why mentalism to me was cool. But I always did magic too. I did a lot of pretty magic. I grew up under a lot of techie card guys too. One of my teachers just passed, John Mendoza, who was one of the great card technicians in the 80s, 70s and 80s and 90s. He still influences a lot of work. So I had all that. I did magic with flowers and doves and a rabbit, all that kind of stuff. To me, it was all magic, right? It was all symbolic of something more interesting about life that people wouldn't talk about. So I just thought it was part of life. And then ultimately I came into I guess it was the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. I was doing metal bending and turning watches, the hands of watches back, and doing like basic, like center tear and a few things like that. That was at a time when there weren't too many of us doing that. So that really solidified the mentalism thing for me. In fact, a lot of what I did in metal bending when I was a kid is still the close of the mentalism act today.
Nice. Is that how you got the nickname, the Godfather of Mentalism, as I mentioned before?
I got it's kind of funny. The Godfather of Mentalism label came because some of my students are very famous in mentalism. So Peter Turner, Fraser Parker, Luca Volpe, Pablo Amira, a lot of those guys, they're all my students. And so a lot of the influential modern mentalists are students of mine. So they kind of said, well, you're like the Godfather. I said, and so I was doing something, and in India they said, we're calling you the Godfather of Magic. And I said, but in the States, the Godfather's like the head of the mafia. I don't really necessarily want to be known as the mafia guy. And they said, well, we can call you the God of Magic. But calling you a god of magic here is much lower than calling you the godfather of magic. So now I have both god of mentalism and godfather of mentalism or magic, and it kind of goes both ways. So whatever country. Yeah.
Hey, make them an offer they can't refuse,
Yeah, right, exactly.
Now, you mentioned students. I believe you're also, you've done some teaching at the Jeff McBride School. Is that correct?
Yeah, for many, many years. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff and I go way, way back. And of course, we have certain similar leanings in some areas. Because Jeff and I were friends when his Magic and Mystery School started, it kind of developed over the years and became more and more into the areas of meaning and some of that they would do specially. And Jeff said, hey, why don't you think about coming to this? And then if you like it, we'll talk about, but you should at least talk at it. So I did. And then that went over really well. So he said, well, why don't you just do this? Like every year you can just come and, and then eventually it was like, well, why don't we just put you on, you're like part of the visiting staff or, faculty or whatever. And that it just kind of evolved. Now I've, for many years now, I've been one of the people doing the long talks. Most people have, a short period of time, but I get to do one of the longer talks about whatever is kind of the issue at the moment. So, yeah, it's nice because, Jeff's teacher, my friend Eugene Berger, was always a part of that for many years, was dean of the mystery school. My friend Larry Haas, and friends like Bob Neal and all, there's a lot of friends there. So it's a great time for me to hang out with friends. We all get to talk philosophy and psychology and all these things, and then teach others. So yeah, it's a great time. Great time.
Another friend I think you have there who I just had on the show yesterday is our good friend Ed Underwood.
Yes, indeed. Ed is a very good friend of mine and his wife Karen, and we both they both worked with me also on several projects, including the Sonic Cinema Experience, which is where we perform our original music. We all play live. We all do music and we all do magic. So, and we do that with silent film that is about magic or have elements of magic. So it's a great touring show. Obviously, right now we're not on tour with it because of the COVID, which has allowed us time to write new music. Karen and I just a couple weeks ago wrote a whole new ending song, and we have a lot of new original music, and we're getting to do more and more things with that. So that's exciting. And then I play cosmic classical music as part of that too. So we have the Sonic Cinema show. And then oftentimes combined with that is the Cosmic Classical show, which is my solo piano work. And we'll do that on the second night. So it's, we're fast friends and we all work together and are very active in each other's magic and musical businesses. So it's a great setup. He's a very ingenious guy, and he's as you know, very, very funny.
Yes.
Ed's just Ed's hilarious, and that's part of anytime we're eating is you always know he can come up with a voice or a story or something that's but yeah, just highly, highly creative. He just put out a juggling thing too, which was brilliant. Because he said the problem is most people learning juggling get all this complicated things and then they can't do it. And Ed, Ed's been juggling forever, so he was like, I just want to make sure they learn right and they can do stuff right away, and then they won't struggle so much. And I went, man, I wish I had you as a teacher in juggling when I was a little kid. That would have been great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I wish I had that mentality because I've tried juggling, and me with juggling, if the object of juggling was to see how many times you can drop it, then sure, I'd be perfect.
Yeah, right.
And just have those teachers that you can say that aren't like, why aren't you getting this? Like, why, you've been in this course for X amount. Why? But have a teacher like, hey, keep at it.
Just do this. Just do this and just practice this. And in a couple days, you'll have a sense of it. It's oh my goodness, And then Ed, because he is very creative, it's hey, you can do that in magic, right? Like I have balls I'm putting in or silks in a tube, right? Why not, do this and then boom, and they go into the tube, but it's much more entertaining, So love his thing. He's great. Yeah, he's a great thinker, and he does great film editing and all that for the Sonic Cinema show. So yeah, he's a master. Yeah.
Yep. Yesterday he made a whole roll of film just appear out of his mouth out of nothing. Like.
Yeah, he also created a great cut and restored film that we do in the show. It's incredible. Fools all the magicians because it's like what looks like what it should look like, Amazing. Yeah.
Now speaking of the topic of teaching, I wanted to ask you, like I said, you've taught at the McBride School. Do you have any, you mentioned a few of them beforehand, but do you have any noteworthy students that to this day still astound you, still like, to this day, like you can hold your head up high that you've taught them?
Well, yeah, I mean, sure. Like I said, Fraser Parker and Luke Germain, Peter Turner, Pablo Amira, Luca Volpe. Name some medalists. There's a lot. But I'm very proud of all of them. They've just done amazing things. And then I have some students that are highly influential that people don't know of as much because they're behind the scenes a lot. Like Adrian Fernandez is just, brilliant, great creative thinker, great script person. There are lots of other people, and then influences, fortunately, that spread out. So friends of mine like Kennedy and other mentalists are influenced by my work, and we're just fast friends. And I just never know. Like I was at I was up in Vegas seeing somebody's show, at a friend's show with a couple friends of ours. And this guy said to me afterwards, Kenton, I'm glad to finally meet you. I want to, I hope we're going to be friends and things. He said, I have to tell you, I apologize. And I said, what for? And he said, well, years ago, Tommy Wonder lent me his copy of Wonder Words, of your Wonder Words tapes. And that's how I learned Wonder Words, and I never bought them. So I feel really nervous that you're here and pacing me because, I really need to buy a Wonder Words from you. And because you can see how much it influences my act in Vegas. And I went, this is so cool. You got them from Tommy, because I know exactly. I remember when Tommy Wonder bought them. So you never know how you influence people sometimes, right? You do something decent and hope it will help people, and then it filters out through all sorts of other places. So, yeah.
Or it comes back, and so it's like, all of a sudden you see their name on the stage, you see their name and the lights and everything, and you just contact them, hey, how's it going? And they send something like, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have anything I have today. So whatever you need.
Yeah, it happens a lot in Vegas. It's very, very funny. And I have some good friends because of that, because once I met them, we really hit it off, and there's some brilliant people like Mike Hammer and guys that, have used Wonder Words as influence. So,
That's beautiful. Hey, I also understand that you have multiple books out there. Is that correct? Multiple books?
Well, yeah, fortunately, most of them now are downloads. You can still get some hard copy books. There's, I don't know, 4 or 5. But yeah, download-wise, there are what were originally something like over 50 manuscripts and books over time. All of those can still be found on the website for the most part. You can download them, buy them and get downloads and all that. So, and then some are compiled into hardbound books too, which you can also find on the website. So, but yes, quite a few over the years. And then I don't even know how many videos, and then there are courses that are a whole separate thing.
Do you also sell some products too, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. All sorts of things to find on the Wonder Wizards website. Lots, lots of things.
Real quick, what's the name of that website?
It's wonderwizards.com. It's WONDER, Wonder, Wizards, WIZARDS.com. So wonderwizards.com. And go there. You can take a look around. there we are. You can find lots of things to look at, beginning, relatively beginning, and advanced things, all sorts of materials. So, things you can get instantly, and things that you can live with the rest of your life, like Wonder Wizards. Wonder Words is kind of a foundation of that started all sorts of things in magic and mentalism. So that whole course is still available on the website too.
Brilliant. Now, I also understand you do a little music too.
Yeah, quite a bit. Quite a bit of music. I play various things, but mostly I'm known for two. One is Tibetan bowls, and the other is piano. So I play and write, create a lot of piano work, some of which I do on my own, some of which you'll actually hear in the background of some videos of magic tricks, because it's easy when you get to write your own stuff. And then work I do again with Sonic Cinema. So you can check all that out. And if you go on our Facebook page, you'll find Kenton's Cosmic Classical Facebook page, and there's a YouTube channel that we've just started to with some of the videos and live piano music. So if you're into relaxing music, or you're into emotional music that's just instrumental, it's a lot of what I do now.
Brilliant, beautiful. One thing I tend to ask magicians when they come on this show.
That's why I became a musician, because people never got that right. So I figured I'll just do both.
Yeah. It got stuck in my head for a minute, like musician.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So one thing I ask magicians on the show, or performers in general, is about the COVID impact. We live in a time where it's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of things are still rebuilding, still coming back. Like, for example, our local comedy and magic club here in town is only at like a certain percentage. I think it's like 20% or something like that, which if you think about it, it's not that big of a club to begin with. So 20% is like, that's even trimming it down more. It's not like a club in Vegas where you can, 20% is still like, this much of the room and stuff like that. So how have you seen like live entertainment, specifically like magic or what you do, be impacted with COVID? And where do you think it's going to go? Like after, let's say we find a vaccine that's proven to work and everything.
Well, I mean, look, right now, there's no doubt it's radically changed how people do things. And, my friends in Vegas, some friends that have been on cruise ships for a lot of years, things like that, all that came to a screeching halt suddenly. What's going to happen is what we see happening right now, which is we're trying to find ways to connect online, trying to find ways to perform in Zoom rooms so that actually makes sense. Some people are doing it incredibly well. A vast majority of people are not, because it's new and it's a struggle. We're not used to not connecting, right? And we want to work with people in the audience. And as a mentalist, okay, think of something, well, you can't do that. Here, put your hand up to the screen. I mean, there's only so much you can do that way. You can't really, you have to connect on deeper levels. To me, I think that's a blessing, because a lot of us got into the habit of thinking, you know what, if I just do this big thing and I pull this person over here and I make, shake this person's hand, or I pat them on the back, or I do this, then I've connected with them. Or get them to sign their card, I've connected with them. That's not true. And so now we're stuck with the reality of, that's not really connecting. How do I connect with somebody really? What do I really do? I'm sitting at home watching something, and I'd rather be outside and go to a movie or see friends or go to a concert or do something cool, but I'm inside. So how do I feel, what's really in my heart? Right? How do I connect with my friends? How do I remember my friends still love me? Those are the things that matter, right? And so figuring out how to do that in magic is what we have to do. My student Adrian last night, we were looking at a 4-ace trick. He rewrote it. It's all about friendship. That's how you do it. So people go, oh yeah, I am loved. Wait a minute. I do have friends, you know? That's what matters. That's what we need to be doing, you know?
Most definitely. That's the theme of Buddycast, being a buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Being a real buddy, you know? And I think it's sad that we became in magic and mentalism, we thought it was all about our ego, you know? Like mentalists are really bad about that. And I can read your mind and you will do this, you know? It's like, man, no. You know, I want to connect with people, right? I want them to feel, I want to go, you know what, Nick, here's the thing. You've had some real ups and downs. I mean, some big ones, right? And you're starting to come up again, and you're getting your own sense of who you are, and you've taken some curves, you know, some turns you didn't mean to take. But now you've got it straight. You're getting more and more centered, and you're going, you know what? I'm not listening to anybody who tells me I'm less than. I now know who I am, and I'm just going to keep expanding and getting better. So that's what I'm doing, you know. And while I'm at it, I'm going to let the world remind the world that that's the deal, and that they need to do the same thing. That's who you are, right? That's a reading. Does it feel like a reading? No, I'm telling you who you are, right? So that's the way to connect with people, right? To do things that matter so people go, you understand me, great. Now we're connected, now we can do tricks or whatever, and it's fine. But at least we're connected. It's not just, hey, okay, so you're thinking of a name, and you think of a name, and think of a name of your dog that you lost, I'll make you cry, and I'll tell you what it is. No, that's horrible. That's not connected, right? We need to really connect with people. And so I think that's the big challenge of what's going on now. I will tell you that even though giant concert event planners that we work with and have to talk to are scrambling and going, we're still a year off before concerts are really going to get back. So we have to do things in drive-ins, and we have to do weird, quirky, techie things, and none of it's going to be like, we're going to be playing houses at something like a quarter to a third full, right? So we're in big theaters that'll have scattered people, and we will have to do 2, sometimes 3 times as many shows to get to the same, in the same venue, to get the same amount of money. So those are adjustments performers are going to have to make for a while until we get things modified. And then things will still be different. But I think they'll be better ultimately, you know?
Yeah, I truly believe it, you know? Yeah. And this, to me, this feels like a time for people to work on things, you know? Like you, for example, I could only imagine your tour schedule, your day-to-day stuff, like even just coming from a comedic perspective, just studying all these comedians, how I've known comedians who were home for 2 weeks of the year or something like that, or I've known people who do like charity work who, like Dr. Patch Adams, for example, the famous con doctor, he said beforehand he was home for like a week out of the year. Now he's home. And he said things like, I get to spend more time with my wife. I get to spend more, like people need that attitude. People need the attitude of, I can be home and, cause like, not to like joke about this, but how many people today are out there going like, I can be home with my wife. Mm-hmm. How many people are going, I have to be home with my wife now. Like I'm in trouble. Like I'm ready to sign the paper right now. Just get me out of here.
Well, and how many people are just on their own, right? Yes. And feel like, hey, I don't get to see anybody, and maybe I don't really matter, and I don't feel good about myself right now. Things are really tough, and I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Man, that's really challenging. And to learn to be okay with yourself, to learn to find things to love about yourself, things to go, I may have a bunch of faults, and everybody does. But there are things I do that are really special, that are good and positive. And I'm going to work on those things and do even more of that. Maybe I'll just reach out to a friend, and call them. Maybe I'll just, surprise a friend by having something delivered to them just, out of the blue. Because I do love, and I want people to know that even though I'm not feeling great about myself, I need to remember the good things I do have and share that. That's what we got to help each other do right now, right? Mm-hmm. Is remember, hey, man, you don't have to be perfect. What matters is that you have something good in you, And if you don't think you do, call some friends up and they'll remind you.
Absolutely.
They'll remind you. I am constantly shocked at people that are hyper intelligent, or if they're not very intelligent, they're very, very sensitive, loving, caring people who think they don't have anything going for them. And it's shocking how true that is. And then when we talk to people, after a while, usually it doesn't take them too long to finally go, well, I know I do that. Well, I know yeah. And it's like, but that's a talent. Now, you see, to you, it's normal. It's like a fish in water going, yes, of course I'm in water, but not everybody can do what you do. Now, everybody is who you are, right? Mm-hmm. That's a gift of all that is, of life, of the infinite, whatever you want to call it, that you represent. And nobody else is exactly like you, So that's a gift to everybody else in the world, everybody else on the planet, So if you're by yourself, listen to me, please, and know that you are loved and valued and are so important. You're more important than you even know. You have no idea how important you are.
And you are never alone.
You are never out of love. And if you think you're not loved, if you think you're not worth anything, message me. And I'm not joking. Message me. Mm-hmm. I will remind you, because you are too precious to the balance of everything in the world to take yourself for granted. I have spent great deals of time by myself, and I've had to learn this myself. So I'm not talking out of my hat. I mean this sincerely, time to take some stock, be quiet, be still within yourself, feel that thing within you that is beautiful and powerful, that's quiet way inside you. And then remember who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what you remind me of? There's a new Elton John song out there. It's called I'm Gonna Love Me Again.
There you go.
Have you ever heard that song?
I have heard of it. I haven't heard it yet. So but I love the title. That's perfect. Yeah.
You got to look it up after this.
I will do that. Yes.
It goes like, I think the lyrics start like, I'm going to love me again. Check in on my very best friend. Find like something within myself, rise above the broken man. Things like that. Like,
there you go.
Just saying and honestly, true love starts with loving yourself,
Yeah, and sometimes that's really difficult, but you know what? Do it anyway, because you're worth it.
Exactly. Exactly. I tell friends all the time, I would much rather be hearing about you texting me or calling me about your problems rather than me getting a call that I have to attend a church service for you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. 1,000% of the time. So we've kind of chatted about this a little bit, but this brings up my perfect next question. Mm-hmm. In your own words, how important is it for someone to be a buddy nowadays?
I think it's essential. I mean, if you're not being a buddy, we're all in trouble. I mean, that's the truth. And there is, there's rampant amounts of hate going on and looking for where we should be divided. Some months ago, I created a symbol that's known as the unity over, or love and unity over division symbol. And I put that out there, and people started putting it on their Facebook profiles and things to remind themselves and others that it's about us coming together, about being unified. The only reason people like to divide us is so they can conquer us. And the minute we start playing into all those divisions, we start to have clashes with one another. And even with people I may vehemently disagree with, say politically or religiously or something, we also have things in common, and those are the points of love between us. So we have to not get fooled. It's a great magic trick to try to divide people. There isn't a single sacred text that doesn't talk about this. And the United States of America, for goodness sake, should really get a clue about that, because it's built into our name for a reason. So the idea that the way to conquer us is to divide us is ages long. It's thousands and thousands of years long. It's an old political trick to conquer the masses. We need to stop that and stop it with love. We need to look for where we are similar, not where we are different. You can celebrate our differences, but don't let them use that to divide us. And so you need to be a buddy to people who are even different from you. You need to be a buddy even from people who are different than you, because you know what? If you saw somebody walking, you got your mask on, you're coming out of a grocery store, and a person in front of you slipped and fell on a curb into a street with cars coming, do you really ask them their political party?
No.
Or what their religious belief is? Or do you go, oh my God, and try to pull them out? You know, love within us demands that we go to their aid and try to pull them out. We don't have to think about it. We don't debate about it. We don't get into fist fights about it. We don't pull out guns about it. We go help the person, you know.
We don't look at them.
No, it's just an instinctful, oh my gosh, let me help.
Exactly. No matter what, even if they're wearing a Make America Great hat again.
Whatever it is, or a Biden hat or anything, you just still go, hey, let me help you. Now we can debate afterwards when we're safe, but come on, there's a fundamental goodness in all of us, and that's the truth. So that's what we need to remember. Then you reach out and say, hey, look, for example, right now, even I know people, sadly, who are so hurt that they don't even like people anymore, and that it's like, but you are one. So, if you hate all people, you hate yourself. That's not good. But if you're really at that place, at the very least, think about, what? There are people who have to give up their pets because of this crisis. That's horrible. That's so sad. It's so heart-wrenching. You can go and volunteer at a no-kill shelter, or you can take a little bit of extra money or a little extra time and help pets who are displaced and find them new homes. You can do something for all the animals that are hurt. That's really needed right now. Let's go do that, right?
Yes.
There's lots of things we can be a buddy about.
Yes.
But you just don't get limited in your thinking, Stretch out. Stretch out.
That leads into my next question. I asked this to all my buddies that come on the show. If there was a charity that you could have our audience donate to, what would it be?
Well, I think there are two things right now that, there's many things, but two things right now that could really be helpful in your community, wherever you live. One is help shelters, find some no-kill shelters and help those people out. They really need help. They are trying to be compassionate and loving about our beloved little ones that have, often saved our lives. So do what you can, whatever no-kill shelter might need help, or help them out. Give them money if you can do it. Give them your physical, labor if you'd rather do that. And the other is people are really starving in our local communities. They are starving. And the government's occasionally helping. So, do what you can. You might be really hurting too, but you know what? You can all get together with masks on and make soup together. Do something to help people who are hurting financially or hurting with food and can't do anything. Help people who don't know where they're going to live next. Maybe you have a spare room. Just think about love. Think about reaching out and going, what can I do? How I'm going to feel best about myself? I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to do, it doesn't matter. It's big or small. I'm going to do something that makes a difference in somebody's life. And the minute I do that, I feel better about myself. So find some simple thing with a charity near you where they say, we need help in the soup kitchen, or we need this help in this no-kill shelter, and go do that.
Beautiful. It touches on the golden rule. Treat others as you would treat yourself. What if you were the one who needed that help? What if you were the one who needed that spare room, needed that food, needed just that assistance?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Now, I wanted to ask this earlier. Going back to your days of performance and everything, Do you have any funny stories, like anything that always, like you always look back at and always chuckle at?
Boy. Yeah, I definitely do. One story always comes to mind is I was doing close-up magic at a place I've been at for over a decade, and sometimes it was a high-end place and celebrities would be there, but sometimes some of those people would be drinking a little too much. I remember walking over this table of ladies who were obviously drinking way too much, but they were very like, "Oh, come on, Mr. Magician," doing all this. Okay. I want you to cause a fuss. So I go over and they say, "Oh, let me pick a card." So I said, "Okay, sure." And they went, No, give us the deck. I went, "Okay, fine. I don't care. I know what I'm doing. You can take any card. I'll go ahead." So they take a card. They said, "No, turn around because you might see where we're taking the card out of and know what it is or something." So I'm fine. So I turn around and they go, "Okay, we're done," And this one girl's chewing bubble gum, the whole time and just has a smirk on her face. So I know, this is going to be a challenge, right? I said, "Okay." So they said, "Well, what's the card?" I said, "Well, I think about it. Here, let's put the rest of the deck away." So I was going to card count, right? And they went, No, I'm going to hold on to the cards. And I went, "Well, yeah, okay. Well, then you put it back in the deck somewhere. I don't really, I don't care." And they went, No, just tell me what it is." And I'm thinking, okay, I know I've been around the block long enough to know where this is headed. So I said, "You want me to tell you where it is?" And they went, "Yeah, tell us where it is." And I went, "It's in your bra." And she went, "Well, you're half right." And they went, "I'm half right?" She's gone, "Yep, you're half right." She reaches into her bra and pulls out half of a card. And she goes, "What is it? And where's the rest of it?" And I went, "If you put that back in the deck, it's going to be really easy for me to find." And she went, "Ha, that's pretty good." And she set her card down and she took her gum out, and it was the other half of the playing card that she was chewing on.
I had a feeling about that. That's the card that you can say, you can keep that,
And that's when I went, you know what? I have to have a way of handling that, so that no matter what, I can still get the card right. So that's why I came up with, that's what started me on the path to eventually come up with Colossal Killer, which I'm famous for. But that's why that started, was that situation. So that always stands out in my mind. Yeah.
Here's a side question. Have you ever had to handle any any other hecklers or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Over many decades of performing, yeah. But, the good news is I really haven't had to do too much. And the reason is I usually make my audience my friends. I really connect with them. So they're not antagonistic, right, towards me. They have to be really kind of messed up to be antagonistic. And so, yeah, I can't really say, I couldn't tell you when I last had a real heckler. I can't tell you when that would be. It was a long time ago. Not to say it couldn't happen tomorrow, because it always can, but usually it's about, if people know you're not trying to challenge them and you're just having sharing some interesting things, in life about yourself and your situation, your beliefs, and how they create these weird events, and people are a part of it and get to experience that. Nobody feels, like they need to come after me with pitchforks or anything, right? I think the problem we get into as performers in magic and mentalism is the ego thing. If we get very egotistical and stuff, then there are people that want to challenge us, right? They, "Hey, wise guy, you think you're so smart, you can," right? That's when that usually comes out, right? That, or somebody's really, really drunk or something, or high, and then at that point you can just ignore them, and usually the audience will keep them in check,
Beautiful. Now I think it's time for what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question.
Okay.
You're ready for this one?
All right.
This one, I'm going to make a two-part question for you. First off, what's your advice for anyone who wants to be a magician?
Mm-hmm.
And the second part of it is, what is your advice for anyone who wants to go, say, specifically into mentalism?
Okay. Well, the first part, I have an answer that I've had for, I don't know, 40 years, which is if you really want to be a magician or a mentalist, like for a living, get ready to live off of popcorn and macaroni and cheese, and survive. But I said that to Ed last night, and Ed said, "And cheese? Oh, Mr. High Living." So I mean, the truth is, you can make it. It's just like anything. You have to work really hard. You're going to have times where you're going to struggle a lot. And hey, that's just part of the deal, So, don't think you're going to be David Copperfield or something overnight. That's not how it happens. David, to this day, works incredibly long hours every single day. So, you can get there, but there's always a sacrifice, big sacrifices. So, keep that in mind. As far as mentalism, well, it goes for both magic and mentalism. The quickest way to be more successful, really, is to read, even though you don't want to, and get a teacher, have a mentor. And that costs money, usually. But, if you're sincere, that's the short way, because a mentor's had all these years of experience, and they can say, you know what, just go do this. And you've just taken 10 years of experience off your life by their one little comment, right? And they continue to do that, and you move much more quickly down the line. Copperfield will tell you, I think, the same thing, because he called a director up, early on, when he was headed, looking at doing stuff on off Broadway in New York, and he called Bob Fitch and said, okay, I want to be on TV in X amount of time, and I need a real director, to get me into shape. And so that's what he did. That's what you do, right? You find teachers who know about those areas you want to be in, and then you go to those people and you pay them, But that's the best way. And if you can't do that, you do what I did as a kid, too, which is you go to a library and start getting all the books you can, And in this day and age, it's even easier, right? Because now you can just jump online, right, and and go, okay, and there we go, cool, right? Get a download, just but go get down. Here's a way to save yourself in mentalism. Don't go buying all the cool latest greatest videos or latest greatest downloads that are coming your way, because most of them are crap. Go find downloads. Go talk to other magicians and mentalists who've been around the block for a lot of years and say, hey, what things do I need to learn to really be good at this? And then go get those downloads, right? And that's really why I started a teaching website, was so that people could get my stuff and download it onto their phone, or onto their computer or desktop, and go, okay, cool, here's my laptop. I've got, 50 years of Kenton's life on my desktop. Here we go. I want to do this. Let me learn about that. Good. Okay, here it is. So that's the shortcut, right? I mean, really, is learn from people that know what the heck they're talking about.
Truly beautiful. That website you mentioned, was that still the Wonder Wizards, or?
Yeah, that's wonderwizards.com. Yep. So that's the website.
I'll throw it up there for our viewers one more time, for those who might just be tuning in or, might be interested in more. It's wonderwizards.com. And if you're really sincere about magic and mentalism, what I would suggest is save your pennies and get a course called Wonder Words, because that will change everything you do in magic and mentalism. And I'm not saying that out of ego. I'm saying that out of decades of watching what happened to magic and mentalism. A lot of those changes came about because of what's in Wonder Words. So that's the course. I think the whole course is like, originally it would have been $350, $400. It's like 120 something now as downloads. So that's the thing to get if you're sincere. If you're not quite ready to be that serious yet, to really learn, then there are other cool,
manuscripts are $20 or $30 that you can get and start looking around with and playing with, and they'll shift a lot of what I do is not what average people do. It's become what mentalists do now, but it was not the norm at the time. So those things will all, whether they're videos or whatever, will change it. And if you just want to do a cool mental trick, a card trick, but it's mentalism, go get Colossal Killer. It's like $20 on the website, or maybe online we set it to like the $50 full version course thing is set for less than $35 for people that are watching the Buddycast. So nice. Go there now, the next 48 hours, I think it is, and you can get it really cheap. So
beautiful.
Go get the full course of Colossal Killer. That'll do it.
Beautiful. Alrighty. I think we got to end on this note. I think we need a live performance.
Well, this is the trick with the Zoom. It's like, what can we do? I mentioned cards and stuff, so let's let's do it the way we'd usually do it, except we can't do it with a real deck, so we're gonna fake it.
I actually have some.
Do you have a real deck there? Awesome. Yeah. Oh, perfect.
I'm missing a few of them, but I've got.
That's
the
okay.
Majority. Yeah.
All right. So I want you to cut an ace out of the deck. So just shovel up the cards and take an ace out without looking.
Got it.
See, that was easy, right? Okay, yeah. They're not impressed, so they think we set that up. So let's do it again. This time, shuffle the cards. And then I want you to take a card out, okay? But don't bite it in half.
Yeah.
Take a look at it, but don't let anybody see it yet. Just hold on to it. All right?
Got it.
And make sure it's not an ace this time, because I told you the ace the first time. So, all right, good. And it's a red card, is it not?
Wow.
And it's a number card, and I'm going to say it's a lower number card. Kind of. It's like right in the middle, like a 5 of hearts.
How in the bloody work did you do that?
No, we didn't set that up, right? There's no
not at all.
Yeah. So there you go. A trick we can do long distance to make people really wonder, right?
Oh, I'm wondering how the heck you did that. I'm wondering.
Yeah, and to my mentalist friends out there, no, we didn't set that up, and no, I don't have a monitor, and no, I can't see what he's doing. So there you go.
But that's the stuff you can look. That's how good you can get if you study it, That's
right. Yeah, exactly right.
Wow. Alrighty, now I need to check my room for security cameras. Oh. But thank you so much for being on the show. Stick around for a little bit. We'll chat.
Absolutely. My pleasure. It's great to see you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning into the Buddycast, because this is such an important thing, that we're all together and that we all remember that we're all working together to make the world a lot better. So stay with the Buddycast. I love that you're doing this, Nick. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's buddies like you that make this show what it is,
Thank you very much.
I'm just the guy who asks the questions.
You ask great questions, that's for sure.
Thank you. Alrighty. To all my buddies out there, this is my new buddy, Kenton. Thank you again so much. It was a great episode. And as I always end every single episode of Buddycast with one word of advice. Go be someone's buddy today. We'll catch you next time here on Buddycast.